live program, and I'm here with my friend, another, palette member. Her name is Stacy Ader, and she is a multi-passionate individual. We met in, like, I would say, like, the height of COVID, right? We were doing
Yeah.
you had just, and you could kind of tell everybody how you came about, starting to more invest more of your time in your side hustle, which I'm a client of. Thank you, saved my life. You work for Special Olympics New York, and you've just taken on another role at Special Olympics, so you can tell us all about that. But go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are.
Thanks. I'm so excited to be here and doing this. This is so fun. My name is Stacey Ader. I work for Special Olympics New York. I have been here for 14 years, going on my 15th year this year. And my passion lies in details and organization and being able to fulfill other people's life dreams and being able to just support others. So with that, my I get to live my passion every day with Special Olympics. It's incredibly challenging to be able to pull off the amount of work and effort that we do to provide great opportunities for all of our athletes on a statewide level. And then my side hustle is Clean Sweep, which is a organizing company. So I go into people's houses and organize their stuff. And I had the pleasure of doing that for you, and I had a really great time with it. So that's about me. I my role with Special Olympics New York is the statewide community director of community engagement and events. It's still kind of new, so I'm still getting that flow of the tongue.
Yeah, so but before, when you first started with Special Olympics, I mean, you've been there for 15 years, so have you always, you've had different roles, but the one that I most recently knew about was events.
Yeah.
And obviously during COVID, that was like a tricky kind of position to hold and sustain. And so now that things are back and you guys are planning events and exciting things this year, you've taken on this other responsibility of community engagement, which I think is brilliant. I mean, you're
Yeah.
amazing at that. And so tell us more about, like, how it's going.
Sure. So if there's anything that Special Mix does really well, it's to be able to be fluid and stay with the times or be able to support as the rest of the world is moving forward. It's a structured organization, just like most organizations are. However, we have a lot of great flexibility in how we're doing things. And we've got great leadership within our leadership department, from our CEO to all the other directors, where everybody's mindset is kind of the same, which is if it's not working this way because the world has changed, then we're changing with the world. We do whatever we can to support the athletes, and that means sometimes having to take a shift and doing what we have to do for the best of the organization and for the best of the athletes. So that flexibility of being able to go, all right, this necessarily doesn't work like it did 10 years ago. Well, so let's mix it up a bit. Let's change it. And that fluidity has really allowed us to stay very current. Relevant and necessary are two of the biggest words that everybody uses when we're talking about, especially nonprofits. So we want to be able to sustain that, and we have great leadership that allows us to do that. So
Awesome.
that's
So
what.
do you have any, like, special events you guys are gearing up for that that will maybe will look a little different, but where you're still executing them?
Oh, definitely. So, my role is planning all of our statewide uh, top events. So, if picture an event that would have 900 people to 1,200 people, depending on where people live, coming in for it, can have upwards of 6 to 7 to 8 different sports. We house them, we feed them, so we bus them. Every moving piece of infrastructure is built by us, by myself and a team, and we execute this 3 times a year. And with COVID, I mean, we talk about being able to be fluid. I describe it as planning an event on quicksand. We're always flexible, but man, these days are even more challenging. So staying within just COVID protocols for different venues, staying within our COVID protocols for Special Olympics, that's passed to us by Special Olympics International, matching that with state, matching that with local municipalities, county emergency management, health department, bringing everybody in, and just making sure that we're providing a safe environment. And we just keep plugging along. Like right now, we're planning for our state winter games in Syracuse, 1 month from today, actually. And right now, if we went to host the event, we probably couldn't because of the numbers. But we're still forging ahead. We're still planning because we have high hopes that the numbers will reach the point where they need to be and we'll be able to safely execute our event. So it's that type of thinking that keeps us moving forward. It's that momentum.
Yeah, and I just think you have to think about, like, the kids, right? And all the athletes that, or they're not just kids, right? They're all ages.
Correct. Yep,
Um,
all ages.
and
Mhm,
giving them something to hope for and work towards. So,
mhm,
that's gonna be so great for their mental health and physical health, right? Just like keeping up with their training and everything and giving them
definitely.
something to look forward to.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. The requirements for going to a state level event are at least 8 weeks of training, and then qualifying at a local level event to a super regional event, and then you get to go to the state level event. And then even from there, those state level events can help propel you towards a national event and a world level event. So the criteria of advancement that we have to keep good quality competition active and moving, and always keeping our athletes looking for the next biggest thing, next challenge that they can do, is all part of our mainstream thought that, we're pushing them to do better in life. We're giving them the resources to do it, and we're using sport as that vehicle in order to give them that courage and determination, and to move into that, moves into all their different parts of their life, not just with the sports.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So, okay, so your job sounds like very, like, complicated. And you have to, and maybe somewhat overwhelming, but I think because of your personality and your love for organization, you probably thrive in this chaotic kind of time, but just keeping organized and making sure that everyone's schedules are, you know,
oh,
aligned.
definitely, definitely. I thrive on detail. I myself, I'm ADD, ADHD, and organization, details, spreadsheets, color coding. That's all my vibe, right? I thrive off of that. It's almost a coping mechanism to keep me sane. So my mind stays organized in itself. And my friend once called me the Terminator because I would walk into a room and I could just look around and I could dissect it. I could figure out what the square footage was. I could figure out how many tables and chairs, where's the entrance, where's the exit, how's busing going to go, where's food going to come in and out of, just like all of the different details that it takes for events. Like that's what my mind just kind of thrives on. So I personally enjoy it. I geek out over it. And it's a lot. It's very overwhelming at times, obviously, because there's so much that we can do. And when you have I don't want to say unlimited resources, because there's always a budget and there's always that, but the resource part that's unlimited is the thought process. Like, how do we do things bigger, better? How do we make this look different? How do we create an event that's going to be just wowing everybody? Like that creativity can be, unlimited. So we
Yeah.
really strive for that. And that's actually one of the biggest challenges has after 15 years, like how do we recreate the same event without recreating the same event? Like, how do we make it different and, zhuzh it up a bit for the athletes? So, yeah.
Yeah, and then what the other thing that's so awesome is that you've used this, um, like, skill, this transferable skill onto this, like, other business that I think, I mean, you're a magician at. I mean, so Clean Sweep, tell us more about Clean Sweep, how you started that, how you got into it, and what gave you the confidence to really, like, go after it and make it a whole 'nother stream of revenue for your own household.
I've always been, well, my mother would disagree if I said always organized. Probably about like mid 20s, I started to get a little bit more organized. And I would do this at friends' house. I would go into their house and I wanted to do interior design and events for a while. And the organizational piece to it was that everything had to be in the right spot in order before we could move forward with anything. Or at least that's the way I felt, right? And so I would go into people's houses and I would take their entire house and I would rearrange the furniture. I would make it look different. And it was more along the lines of not just organizing, but creating a peaceful space. It's a whole mindset. And when you take into consideration the organizing, it's not just cleaning up a space and making it look nice. It's functionally, how is this going to operate? How am I going to operate in this space? What habitual changes do I need to make in order to keep this going? Like my goal is to go into a client's house, help them with their job, and hopefully not see them again because I've taught them the ways that they can do it themselves. So that just kind of seemed to be an easy path for me. And so I kind of took it to the next level because people were always telling me you should start this in a business, you should do a business. And so during COVID, because we weren't doing large events, I went on furlough for quite a while. And I think in order to keep my family sane, I just dove in. I was like, I'm going to create a website. And then that kept me busy doing the website. And I'm going to learn how to create an LLC. So I became an LLC. And then I was like, oh, I want to do business cards. And so I think in a way it was keeping me busy. It was allowing me to have that detailed function that I personally need to just stay organized myself with thought process and otherwise. So it just kind of came about. And then I've had very good success so far, so much so that I had to put a pause on things because I just could not do both of Special Olympics and this right now. So I put that on pause. I pulled my marketing. I'm still getting contacts from my website, which is nice. But yeah, even after pulling my marketing, I'm still being uh, reached out to in otherwise. So it
Yeah,
just
well,
kind of was.
you were brilliant. I mean, I was so overwhelmed, and I just have to share, like, so I have 3 daughters. Posey is 7. She has her own bedroom. It's a bunk bed. I mean, her room is just it looks like a bomb goes off, and it's like she doesn't put anything back, and it was just a disaster, and I didn't even know where to start. I just and time, right? Like, I don't have the time to spend, I think 4 hours you spent in my house, like cleaning
Yep.
my like not cleaning, but organizing and just like removing all the crap from Posey's room, and then Ruby and Zia, they share a room. And it was unbelievable how you were able to come in and just look at this with like just a fresh set of eyes.
Mhm.
And you weren't overwhelmed. It was like, oh no, I mean, and every time you come and say, like, oh no, this is nothing, this is not that big of a deal, this isn't so bad. And I'm like, all I can see is like crap everywhere. And I get into this system where I'm like, let's just toss everything. Let's just like have a pitch party and throw everything away. And so after you came in, you spent like 4 hours in both their rooms and just like completely, and then you did our garage too, which
Yeah.
was another like source of just stress and frustration with myself and my husband, because he's a lot more organized than I am. He wants to know where everything is. And I'm a disaster. So it was just like life changing to be able to drive into the driveway, drive into the garage, and not have everything everywhere. And oh my God, it was just the most like stress free experience for me too, because you just took care of it.
Well, that's what I love to hear, because that's, like I said, it's one of the high points of having somebody come in and looking at your life a little differently. It's functionally, how do I want to operate in here? And it was just the simplest comment of, I want to be able to drive my car and park here. So it was like, all right, well, how big is your car? How much space are we going to need? What are you willing to part with? How do we, so uh, each client is different. I have had one client that I've done at least, I think we were up to about 14 sessions with, because it just kept me on. We joked, I was like, am I just going to be on as a retainer? Do we want to just, keep me on speed dial? I've touched every drawer, every closet in their house because they wanted a restart. They were downsizing. They were empty nesters. They were just retired. And then working with you, who has 3 small children, that, that that change of client is going to be different. But the mindset of, I would just like a clear space to be able to be functional and enjoy it. Like our homes are our peace, not supposed to be the stress. And clutter causes stress because you're thinking to yourself, I'm going to do something with that item someday. And then when you don't, you get yourself guilty into, I haven't done that yet. And it's almost like you're being a downer towards yourself. And less clutter equals less stress, just in that whole mindset. So it's been a lot of fun. And again, like you're right. Like I walked in, I was like, this is nothing. We're good. Don't worry. I got you. and it was fun, like doing little girls' rooms. Like that was just like, so personally, I enjoy what I do, and I love meeting new people with the clients that I've been blessed to be able to work with. And yeah, it's just been great.
I think like once I got out of my own way, like after I got done just like beating myself up over like the fact that I wasn't doing it and I wasn't putting these things like where they should go. And, in my head, it's like I have the vision, but it's like the follow through when it comes to this specific thing. At work and at business, I'm like, I can, make magic happen. But in my own home and my own living spaces, I'm just like overwhelmed. And then I don't know, it's like it really is a mindset.
Mhm.
And so once I got past like having someone come in and do it, it was just a game changer, absolute game changer. And now it's like I don't have the worry, I don't have the stress. Posey knows where everything goes. And she's also old enough now to, you know, she knows better than to
Yes.
throw things where they shouldn't go.
Yeah.
So it's been it really was so nice. And then also just kind of another set of eyes just to look at things and you're like, you know what? Oh yeah, I don't know why I'm holding on to this. This is so stupid.
Yeah.
So and then just the thought too of like, I would imagine, yeah, because it all depends on the client. I would imagine some people are like really stressed out about the process of someone coming in and touching their things and moving their things around. And so it's all about, the relationship between you and the client and how and a trust. That's the other thing. I remember
Yeah.
like when this was all happening, I was like, oh yeah, I trust Stacy. She's gonna like not throw away things that are obviously like heirloom dresses that my mom saved for years. Um,
Yeah.
so the trust is a big factor too.
Definitely. Yeah. That building of trust starts at the very beginning. I do a home assessment. So we'll either come to the home or we'll do a video assessment. That's partly for me, that's partly for the client. I need to make sure that whatever job I'm taking on, I can support. If it is a true hoarder situation that is outside my bounds, that requires a very specific type of organizer. There's a lot of mental health that's behind that. So you really need to find somebody who's um, gone through direct trainings regarding that level. A lot of the clients I'm working with are just like you. They're just like, I just need to get a handle, and then I can take it from there. And a lot of you're busy during the day, right? You've got lives, you've got work, you've got kids, and then the nurse's office just called. You've got so there's all these different things that can happen throughout your day. So by the time you get home, you're tapped. So bringing in somebody to help you is a great thing. I mean, there's an entire gigantic industry built on this for a reason, and it's because people just need a little bit of extra help sometimes. And that's it, like anything else in our life, where we have to just go and get a bit of a clear mindset and hit that refresh button. And then the hard part comes in, where I always joke that I can't guarantee changing your family's habits. That's on you. I can give you the tools in order to get you started. And
Yeah.
then, yeah.
Yeah, no,
So,
and it kind of like segues back into Palette. I think it's like it's great to just have, Palette for me is all these members are just like another set of eyes on my life and on my world. And I think it's just been so beneficial to have like all these resources at my fingertips and to kind of like leverage and use as a sounding board. And so, I'd love for you to talk about why you joined Palette and what you've seen out of it. And because you don't use the space. It's not really the co-working thing for you. It's more of like the
mhm.
network and the opportunities to meet other people. And so I would love for you to share kind of your experience and how you've seen Palette work for you.
So I first saw Palette when you guys were just moving into the Schenectady space. And I'm a Schenectady girl. I grew up in Schenectady. I've had a soft spot for it forever. I've watched it grow in leaps and bounds. I've seen people reinvest back into it. Downtown makes my heart so happy. I live downtown. I love being able to walk out my door and go to the restaurants and just be there, go down to Palette and, get a cup of coffee. But when I saw this particular group investing in Schenectady, that was part of the drive. And I thought, I want to be a part of this. I like this so much. And no matter what I did, it kept popping up in front of me. And I'm a true believer in the universe and God telling us to go in certain directions. And when you've seen something like three times, it's the time to act. So I reached out. I knew I was doing this side hustle. I didn't know, in the middle of COVID, what all life was going to be looking like in the future. And I just know that I wanted to be a part of this because the biggest piece to me was just how incredibly supportive everybody was. I've been a member of many different associations in the past. There was always a bit of competition between people, and it just seemed like such a healthy, thriving environment. And the Shiro program that I was able to be a part of, to just everything, just watching how everybody was interacting, the fun. I know that's kind of goofy, but there was a resource for everything. If you were a book lover, if you're a movie lover, wine lover, like whatever, whatever interest was there, and it was so supportive. And I remember I reached out to Marcella, and she was like, "Oh, I'm going to hook you up." And she put me in front of the exact people I needed to talk to in order to start my business. And I sat for an hour with each of them, and they're like, "This is what you need to do. This is what you need to say. This is," and I was just blown away. There was nothing expected in return for their kindness. And I was just like, all right, it just solidified. I was like, this is where I need to be. Like
Yeah,
the
well, and
collaboration is just massive. It's great.
yeah, and that's what it's all about. I mean, I feel like once you have all the players, available to you and you have access to them, they're willing to give the support and they're willing to meet you and talk to you about your business and just be like just that honest feedback, that honest sounding board to kind of like help you through. And I think like the biggest thing that we can all show each other or be for each other during this time is the support. And that for me that's showing up. That's like answering
Mhm.
the phone, getting the message back and just being able to connect with another person that is already their head is already there in the sense like they want to be of support and service
Yeah.
to you. So I love to hear that perspective of yours, especially because, you joined during COVID. So it wasn't like you were really you didn't really need a workspace and we've been able to really like, support you through both of these avenues. Yet you kind of have these two things going, these two hats you're wearing. And it's been fun just because, I mean, I didn't really know enough about Special Olympics. I had never been to an event, so it's been cool just for me personally to be part of what you're working on and what you're doing and how we can support you.
Yeah, it's been great because when I started, I'm very like, you know, categorized, right? So I was like, well, I'm going to do both with my Palette membership. I'm going to help support both. What I do personally for Special Olympics is mostly statewide pieces. When we have an event that I'm running in the Capital District, it's different, but it's mostly a big overall, statewide piece. So I was like, how do I apply a capital region specific membership to something I'm doing statewide? But I'm like, but you know what? We've got members that also work on statewide who have relationships and association ties in everywhere across the state. So just really made sense to do it. And it was actually part of one of my New Year's resolutions was to do more with Palette, get more out of my membership, like, put in so I can get back. So just kind of felt like a natural progression to get a little bit more, you know, inspired to do more with Special Olympics with the Palette membership too. And you
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and that's what we're here for. That's what it's all about, and allowing us to kind of like be in your life and in your world and help you advance all the goals that you have that you want to accomplish over the next year. And I just and again for me, it's like personally, I like to do things in group activities. I like to, advance and kick the ball up the field with other people. And that's what it's all
Yes.
about. And I know I couldn't be the only person that felt that way. And so that's why I created Palette. And it's so much bigger than me. It's like, it's not even about just connecting with me or Marcella. It's about connecting with all these other incredible people who, have the same, values as you, and, are ambitious and like unapologetic about their ambition. And I think that it's just like I am only the most confident I can be when I'm around these other types of people.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's definitely been a great group to be a part of, and people wanting to learn about Special Olympics is just kind of gravy for me. I could talk about Special Olympics all day long. I do talk about Special Olympics all day long, but you know, it's expanding people's mindset to really understand what we're about and to be able to volunteer. I mean, we have a capital district region, that operates, year round. We're a year round organization, so we do have opportunities for volunteerism, throughout our capital region. So there's a lot of different things that we can tie into. It's almost overwhelming how much that we can do.
Yeah, yeah, it's all good things, all good things. Well, as we wrap up, is there anything else you wanted to add or make sure that people knew about? So you have this Special Olympics event happening in March in Syracuse. That's going to be exciting. Anything else happening?
Yep. So actually, Syracuse is February,
Oh,
but in March we have our athlete leadership group, our athlete leadership council, and then again, this is like another part that really shows how diverse Special Olympics is. We start with sports, but we also have a whole health team component to it. We have a athlete leadership component, and the depth of Special Olympics and what our athletes can get out of it is so immense. We run our athlete leadership council, and they're coming into town in March, so we'll be having an event in March. It's going to be, we have certain modules and curriculum and educational pieces to go through with them, but then we're going to do something fun like a dress for success, and meal etiquette, and go out to dinner, and so there are so many life lessons that we all need to learn no matter what our standing is in life. So it's for us to be able to provide that leadership and give those leadership skills so they can go off and join associations like this, and they can go off and do represent Special Olympics in a way that they feel confident. They've learned their story. They can recite off their elevator pitch. They can have all those tools, and that athlete leadership councils, one thing that we really pride ourselves on, to be able to help promote and do a lot. So
oh, that's awesome. And that's
yeah,
in March.
that's in March. So we'll be
Oh,
hosting
fun.
that in the Albany region, and then the other two statewide pieces are attached to our state level games. So summer will be in Ithaca, and fall will be in Glens Falls. So
Awesome.
yeah, so
And that's
it's
open to the public. Anybody can come.
Not for the leadership council meetings, but to the games. Yes. Yes. Yep.
I mean, pending like all the, COVID stuff.
Pending all of the, pending all the world,
Yeah. Well,
all the
did y'all do
protocols.
during COVID? Did y'all do the games without fans?
We actually, so our first state level event that we've pulled off was in fall, and that was in October in Glens Falls. We had almost 500 athletes and coaches from statewide. We used 11 different properties for hotels. We had an outdoor opening ceremonies in City Park right there. We shifted and tweaked and molded and tailored to fit the protocols and to make sure that we could still provide a good opportunity. We did invite spectators, but I mean, again, this is like planning an event in a different world. It's athletes and coaches only areas, and spectators over here areas, and limited, no contact back and forth. We require all of our athletes and coaches to be vaccinated. And if you're a hands-on, active pre-registered volunteer, you're also going to have to be vaccinated as well. So so many more levels to just even safety squads, a new volunteer group that I made up, because I was like, all right, we have to keep everyone safe, so it's
Yeah.
safety squads, keeping people separated, disinfecting everything as we
Mhm.
go through. It's a whole
But you pulled it off. You pulled it off.
we
That's
did,
amazing. And
we
then
pulled it
it's
off.
so
And
important for this community to have
yeah,
something to look forward to. And I just love that you're one of these examples of like how we can move forward. It's not you have to figure out what the silver lining is. You have to figure out how to move forward. You have to figure out how to work together and have something to look forward to. And it is possible, you know, like I
It
feel like
is.
I see so many times we see like this isn't I get that this is not sustainable. I agree this is not sustainable, but there is a step forward and it's looking for the helpers, looking at the people who have service and looking for the innovators that we can,
Yeah.
collaborate, figure out how to execute these events and carry on.
Yeah. Yep. It's possible. We're doing it. I mean, it's, we're doing it the safest way possible. We're not going into it blindly. That's for sure. We're working with local health departments and emergency management in the county, municipalities, and otherwise for Syracuse. Just, it's, we're going to do our absolute best to provide our absolute best for the athletes and coaches. And
Yeah.
that's all we can do at the end of the day is to know that we've done our best in trying. And one way or another, it'll work out.
Yeah, you'll pull it off. I have no doubt. Well, thank
You
you so
will.
much
It'll
for
work.
being here
Thanks
for
for
on the
having
You
me.
For It Live program. I love chatting with you. I mean, I don't really need you to come back to my house, but just maybe it's worth, having a refresher. It's always great to have another set of eyes on this crazy household we have. But anywhere, where can people find you besides the PAL website? Stacy's on our website under members if you want to get in touch with her.
Yep.
But anywhere else, what websites?
SpecialOlympicsNY.org for Special Olympics, and a cleansweeplife.com for the organizing part of it. Either way. So but yeah. And
And
yeah,
you
I'd be
are
happy to
taking
talk to whoever.
on more clients for Clean Sweep.
I am. Yeah. So starting, well, yes, I'm booked out to about March at this point. So I can start making appointments in March. So yeah.
Awesome, awesome,
Yeah.
awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much for
Thanks for
being here,
having me.
and we'll see you again soon.
Sounds good.
Bye.